Hey guys, JD and Willie here from Counterculture Solutions, and today we're going to talk to you about everyday carry, also known as EDC. And I bet you're thinking, what can I learn from these guys?
One second. Dude, was that printing?
Bet you didn't know we had these.
Oh, fuck.
Okay, so before we get into the equipment, let's talk about some of the baseline stuff. And for us, we've identified two things. First, it's the mindset, and then second are the skills. Because all of this equipment is nothing without having the proper mindset and then having the skills to employ this. So from the beginning, we actually released a graphic recently on our social media that demonstrated the counterculture mindset. And one of those facets to the mindset was self-reliance. So the first thing that we need to establish here when we consider EDC is that, sure, a lot of people do this because it's cool. They have this $300 knife, $1,000 gun, cool pack to put it in. But the first thing that we have to consider is, do we really care about being self-reliant? Because we have law enforcement, we have first responders, we have people all around us who can take care of a lot of this for us. But we don't believe that. We believe that we should be self-reliant, we should be prepared, we should be trained. And so the first thing that we do when considering EDC is consider the mindset, and we choose to be self-reliant. So once we consider the mindset that we're in and we have determined that we want to be self-reliant, then we have to determine what skills and what equipment or which tools we need to employ in our everyday carry. So when we start talking about skills, the problem here with a lot of people is they have a $1,000 gun and they have $0 training. That's an issue, right? Or they have tools that they see other people employ on YouTube videos, but they actually don't know how to employ them themselves. So we have to have the proper mindset as to why we're doing this. We want to be self-reliant. I want to be able to protect my family. I want to be able to stop the bleed. But I also acknowledge that law enforcement and first responders are there, and I'm grateful for that, but there may be a gap in their ability to provide. And so that's really what we're filling here. So we have the mindset, we have the skills, and now we have the equipment. Then we ask ourselves, who is this for? We believe it's for everyone. With Counterculture Solutions, we really want to focus on the family because we have families. We want our wives and our children and our mothers to feel safe. Well, a lot of the EDC stuff is exclusive to men. So today, we're going to talk to you about our EDC and variations of that. And we're also going to talk to you about what our wives carry and what our children carry. Hey guys, we're now going to talk about our EDC. And the first thing that we want to say is EDC, or everyday carry, is a bit of a misnomer. Meaning, not every day are you going to carry the same things.
Every single one of us, EDC, every single day, everybody does. Whether that's you going out to work, picking up your phone, picking up your wallet, picking up your butt pack of gum. I don't know. For me, I know like my EDC is, I'm going to grab that Alani Nu, bring it in my car, drink it on the way to work. It's essential I prep it the day before. That's a big thing with EDC as well, is knowing what you're going to carry the next day. That's where we get into like the mindset side of things. Preparation is a big part of that. Knowing where you're going to go, prepping your environment, being ready for it. But I know for me, my everyday carry, if I'm going out doing casual stuff, I'm probably going to rock this here fanny pack. It's an Osprey. It's a pretty good size. It's not too big. It's not too small. I could fit a good amount of stuff in here. I like it because it's universal. You might think I'm a hiker. You might think, I don't know, I'm a mom. Who knows? But with that being said, JD has one as well. They're pretty popular. They're about $35, $40 on Amazon. You can get them, or the website. But if we work from left to right or right from left, doesn't matter. You're probably thinking like, hey, what pistol do I carry? Well, I carry a Glock 19 Gen 4. Reason why I carry this, we use Glock 19s at work. I like to carry what I use at work because I know the weapon system. But with that being said, I have a Misc slide, super nice. If you look at the back of it, I have a very nice optic. It is a Leupold Delta Point Pro. My buddy told me to get one of these because they're awesome. Huge window for your optic. It is a red dot sight. If you don't like those, then cool. But I also have irons on here. So when that red dot goes out, hey, I still have a backup iron sights on there. With this optic, I'm actually able to flip a tab right here. It releases the battery compartment where I can easily exchange my batteries. So I don't have to really worry about the difficulties of older red dot sights, changing out the batteries. I know that's a problem for a lot of people. I can also get to the areas where I need to adjust my windage and my elevation on this optic very easily. I know that's another problem with other weapon systems. But if we go to the front of this weapon system, I have a Streamlight TLR1. This flashlight's very nice because obviously it allows me to get visibility in dark situations. It's also very similar to my work weapon light. So it fits in my duty holster. I don't need to buy a new duty holster or anything like that. And then I put tape on my handle because it allows for a better grip. I don't like the skateboard type grip on there because when you EDC that, it rubs against your belly button. It gives you like pretty much road rash and it hurts very bad. But that's why I put hockey tape. And I'm pretty sure I got this from Edgar Sherman Design. On their website, they sell this hockey tape on there. I have a magwell extension or just a magwell on here. It allows for easier capability to reload my weapon system faster, which is very important, especially when you're about to do a violent encounter. You need to be able to reload your weapon system faster than the person that you're engaging. But that's my weapon system. It is altogether a pretty expensive weapon system. I would say I have probably $1,200 into this pistol. But don't let that scare you. There are variable options that you can use for your everyday carry.
Couple things there. We have the same fanny pack. I've been running this for probably about 3 years. It's held up immaculately. The biggest sustain about this fanny pack and this brand Osprey is the quality of the zipper. I often have zippers that fail on my packs. It's typically the first thing that fails. I have stuffed this bad mamma jamma to its fullest capacity, and these zippers don't budge. So this is a massive sustain, hence why I purchased the slightly larger version in the daylight. And you want me to hit my pistol real quick?
Yeah, let's compare and contrast mine and JD's pistol. They're pretty much the same exact pistol systems, but I'll let him talk about his own pistol.
Cool. Yeah, and with this, man, I actually typically don't carry it on my fanny. I sling it, which is actually kind of why this was convenient, because this is more of a sling bag as well. Lots of options with this bad boy. I definitely, I'll see it again, So my pistol, same thing as Willie. Been shooting a Glock for a long time. I'm comfortable with the pistol. And so I also have a Glock 19 Gen 4 for my generally everyday carry. Tribe Defense slide, Lantac fluted, suppressor capable barrel. I'm running a Vortex Viper for my mini red dot. And there's some pros and cons to this for sure. The nice thing about that Leupold Delta Point is the battery access. Even though the batteries on these things last like 40,000 hours and you can leave it on for like the rest of your life, still having the ability to change a battery because it has failed without losing your zero, or just having to take the thing off in itself, especially if you have it Loctite. That's a massive win there with that. So nonetheless, this Vortex Viper does the job. Don't have any real issues with it. I like the build of it. I like the size of it. No real issue there for me. I run the TLR7. It's slightly smaller The lumens are slightly lower. Not a big deal, man. This thing illuminates perfectly fine for me. I really don't have an issue there, and I like the size of it. Then let's talk about this for a second, the extended slide release. You run one?
Yeah, it's straight up forgot. I got the same exact one as you, and you're the one who told me to wear it. Cool. Not wear it, use it.
And wear it.
Yeah, I usually wear 3 of these at a time. So.
Yeah, so the extended slide release is loved and hated because I've seen this bad boy induce many malfunctions with people who are not super familiar with it, and predominantly those are induced by the grip that you have on your pistol being too high and placing pressure on that slide release upwards that now causes a slide lock. So you got to be really careful with that, and that's just training. You train that out, right? So I feel very comfortable running that extended slide release because remember, when you're in a violent encounter, your fine motor skills will be diminished. And something as small as that, being able to get that slide back into action, that's important for me. I think last thing I would say about my pistol is I run a polymer Magpul magwell extension. There's a lot of options out there. There's some big boys out there, some heavier ones. If you have a comp gun, I'd certainly run something probably metal, a little heavier. But for me, EDC, I'm looking for something that's going to provide my ability to have a really nice grip on the pistol, and that really locks it in for me, personally, but not too heavy. So that's my Glock, and I think we're both running magazine extensions that turns a 15 round magazine into a 20 round magazine.
Yep. Which
for me is just, why not, right? I also love the way it feels in the gun. I love the way the magazine feels coming out of the gun with that additional weight at the bottom.
So you got to think about these weighted mags. Obviously they're bigger. Maybe they're not advantageous.
Advantageous.
They're not contagious. These won't get you sick. We're going to keep that. But obviously, they're extender for your mag. These give you 5+. These give you 5 more rounds than your typical 15 by standard Glock mag. But with these, they add weight to your gun. So like JD was saying, when you're in that situation, a violent encounter, you got to put rounds on somebody. One, I just increased my basic load to 20 rounds plus 1 in the chamber, but this also helps stabilize the weapon system. I know for a fact, for me, it is a fact. It's not an opinion. These make me These make my rounds more accurate, allow me to manipulate that weapon system faster and more accurate when I run these. So, but keep in mind, obviously, these are going to potentially make you print more in certain situations. That's why you have to keep in mind, like, hey, is it summer? Is it fall? Am I in Florida? Am I in Minnesota or Michigan? So these stick out pretty far, especially when you put them in your shirt. You got them sticking in there. You might see that pretty well. So if you look, JD actually has a standard 1x15 standard Glock mag. This is going to allow him to run a more low profile weapon system, but I'll let him talk the reasons why he does run 2 different types of mags pretty much.
Yeah, and really that's the premise is I want the ability to carry 2 to 3 magazines because if I'm using my pistol, then I want the ability to reload. So generally, I'm going to run with the 20 round plus 1 magazine, right? That's nice. Here collectively, depending on if I'm going plus 1 or not, I've got 55 rounds. So not really a concern that I'm going to run out of ammunition. And typically, you're going to see 1 in the gun. And like he said, if I'm wearing a t-shirt like this where I don't have a ton of room here, I might run that 15. I don't know. Maybe I'm not concerned about printing and I'll run that extended mag, but you're gonna see that a little bit. With that, I also have 2 magazines in my bag here, and You want me to kind of talk through that configuration for a minute or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so generally wear it like this, mostly because it's sexy and makes me feel confident.
It's very sexy.
Yeah. So I run it here, and you'll see that I generally run my pistol. This is a dummy round. For demonstration purposes, I'll run my pistol here, kind of a appendix. Not quite, I don't have it pointed at the goods because I'm not super stoked about that option, but you can see definitely some imprinting here. Kind of depends on the clothing choices for the day. Kind of goes back to the mindset and the preparation the day prior. But this allows me to pull my pistol and employ it, and then reach from my bag if I need to conduct a reload. Now, the things that I keep easily accessible are things that I need rapidly, right? So tourniquet, need that rapidly. If I have a massive hemorrhage, I need to employ this rapidly. If I am in a gunfight and I need to conduct a magazine change, I need to do that rapidly, right? So for me, it's about prioritization. It's just like packing a rucksack. I'm putting the things that I need at the top. I don't need to rapidly grab my wallet, right? So that's deeper into my bag. So again, back to that planning and preparation piece, we're just kind of reverse engineering this, getting the wallet in there. Then okay, which magazine do I want to be able to pull first? Which way is this going to be oriented when I reach in there to pull, right? And so we're actually rehearsing these pieces. I don't want to pull a 15 rounder. I want to throw another 20 rounder in there. So I'm going to get that one towards the bottom. Again, orientation is key. When I go to conduct that magazine change, I'm going to pull. I want it oriented in the proper direction. So I'm going to place it in there, right? And then that comes back to how am I actually going to pull from my bag. I'm going to come in and I'm going to reach the same way and I'm going to in place, right? So this is all planning and preparation. I think that's about it for pistol magazines other than the holster.
Yeah.
I run a DSG holster Kydex that is compatible with or without a belt. I have never had an issue pulling this pistol from concealment and the holster coming with it, with a belt or without a belt. It's pretty cheap on dsgarms.com. And the only thing I would say I don't like about that pistol holster is it's a little sharp, and there's no real way to fix it. So for extended carry, you might rub yourself a little weird.
Yeah.
But I want to emphasize the importance of a holster. I see people carrying pistols without a holster. The key there, guys, is not just a fancy place for you to stow your pistol. The biggest thing is it offers a trigger guard. I don't care if you have a manual safety on your pistol, unlike the Glock, you still need a trigger guard, okay? And so that is one of the big things that holster provides.
Yeah, JD runs a holster. I typically don't. I have a Glock 19, doesn't have an external safety. It has 3 safeties, but that's a different story. So I know when I run mine, I usually don't keep one in the chamber because I seat it in my fanny pack with no trigger guard on it. With these Ospreys and that extended mag, it kind of prints in the fanny pack, but nobody's going to really know what that is. With that being said, I don't keep one in the chamber. Obviously, I don't want to shoot myself, shoot somebody else, shoot my wife. But that being said, I have to keep that in consideration. Coming out of a fanny pack is going to take a little bit more time than inside the waistband, depending on where you like to run it. Appendix carry on your butt cheeks. Some people run it behind their back. I've been thinking about getting those old school leather holsters that are, underneath your shirt. Those would be baddies.
Or over.
Depends.
Yeah.
If you got a jacket on or not, it'd be badass. But that being said, it goes down to that preparation. I know I need to be faster with my pistol than somebody else. That's when we get into situations. JD can demonstrate it. If he knows he's in probably a low-risk environment, he might rock his fanny pack behind his back. I sling mine. I know if I'm going low risk environment. I'm at, very familiar place. Target, I don't know, just kidding. Target might be violent nowadays too. But I'm gonna rock it like this. Doesn't, it's a little bit more comfortable, gets it out of the way. Let's say I'm out there in downtown somewhere. I'm probably gonna carry it like this and have, have this slightly open, maybe running my hand on that zipper right there as well. And if I gotta get in that situation, I can easily unzip it. See, like I said, it might get caught too. That's why you gotta take practice. And that's why sometimes with these Osprey little smaller fanny packs, running that smaller mag is gonna help, because that's gonna take away maybe 2 inches. I don't know what that is. So this is where I gotta practice prepping and then getting it out. It takes time. That's why I gotta practice my pistol, be prepared for it. Get that mindset that just because I have this pistol and I don't know how to shoot it, that literally means nothing for EDC. So
let's hit some pros and cons of that real quick.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people are thinking, well, hey, carrying a pistol in a fanny pack is a bad idea. And maybe on the surface, like, I might feel that way in some ways, but here are some of the pros and cons. An obvious con, generally speaking, is no matter how much you train, if you are carrying in a fanny pack without a holster, without a round in the chamber, and I'm carrying here on my appendix or my side with a round in the chamber, there's a high likelihood with the same level of training that I'm going to beat you to the shot. High likelihood. He may be able to train past that, but really that's rather subjective. A great thing about the fanny pack carry that I love, and we were talking about this prior, is not every encounter is going to turn into employing your pistol. So if I get into a fight with him with this current setup, this pistol has a great chance of coming out in just a physical altercation with where we're not intending to kill each other, right? So that's why, first and foremost, avoidance is key. And we teach that, and we'll teach that extensively in our violent encounter survival course. So avoidance is key. But if now we have to lay hands on each other, his pistol is not going to accidentally come out, okay? So we get into a tussle, he then gets his hand on my gun, or my gun comes out just because we're grappling. That's a problem for me. Now I have to kill him, right? Because there's a fucking pistol on the ground. So having your pistol in a fanny pack in a lot of ways can be advantageous. Again, you have to train so that you can get into that rapidly, draw it, get around in the chamber, and present, right? Because I'm probably going to beat you to it. So some pros and cons there.
And that goes into straight up mindset. I know we keep hitting it, but it's important. You see somebody like me and JD, I got tattoos on. I might be a criminal, who knows? That's something you got to keep in mind. Visual cues. Like if I see this dude rolling up on me with tattoos, long hair, beard, camo hat, I'm probably going to know that he's probably carrying a weapon system on him of some sort. Even if it's a knife. Like, he's probably going to be carrying a knife at least. Or he, just from base looks, he knows what to do in some way, shape, or form to protect himself. So that's one of the most important things you can do, especially for EDC or just saving your own life, is understanding who you're about to go against. And that's why, if you see a guy like that, maybe just get out of the way completely, and that would give me time. I can create that, open up that gap, find cover and concealment, prep my weapon system, already have it readied, and say a bad dude comes in, hey, I don't have to worry about the timing of getting this thing out. Oh, it just got stuck. Oh, I don't have one in the chamber. I don't have to worry about that time gap, because that's where it comes into distancing yourself from the threat, find cover and concealment, prepping your weapon system, but most importantly, it comes to preparedness.
Yeah, and all of those details, that's what we refer to as left of bang. All of the things that we can do to avoid the violent encounter. And a lot of people, without jumping into this being a violent encounter survival course video, a lot of people think that the violent encounter course should be like everything that happens in here, right? But the reality is it's everything that happens before we're this close. So that's for a future video, and yeah, we're gonna love diving into that with you. This is another configuration that I love. You know, at work we draw from this position, maybe a little lower, maybe a little further out in kit, but I love this configuration. Hey, in the South, in the summer, you ain't running this, but this is a great winter configuration for me. I personally really dig this. And I know you actually do that as well in the winter.
Yeah, like we keep hitting, what you're wearing is going to dictate what you're going to either probably put your weapon system. So like, hey, say you're not running your Glock because you're in an environment where, I don't know, you don't have a place to put this. That's where you can run into your secondary weapon system. Mine's a nice little knife, Kershaw. I know JD has a knife. I think this is what he runs. I don't know. Who knows? You have to ask him yourself. But yeah, so like getting into that, you know, if I can't run this Glock because XYZ, maybe I'm in a school, maybe I'm in a federal building or state building, who knows?
Another country that
doesn't permit this. I've been in this situation plenty of times. Something to consider is where you're going, why you're going there, how you're getting there. Hey, you're in Florida, it's hot as crap, and you're going on a run. Hey, you're gonna have a smaller fanny pack. JD's gonna talk about that here in a second. Or you're in a situation, maybe you're just, all you have is basketball shorts on, gross, you know, past the knees. Those are disgusting anyway. If you ain't wearing 3 inches, don't even get in my face. But maybe all you can carry is a pocket knife. I carry a nice little Kershaw, super sharp blade, super versatile. I can put it in my pocket, put it anywhere I want. I know JD has a fixed blade. That's another topic of conversation. That's something you have to consider is what you're going to wear. And I know JD, he rocks something when he's going to go on a run or in the gym or something else. So I'll let him talk that piece.
Cool. So if I'm on a run, generally my setup, because I don't want to be caught off guard, last thing I want to do is go for a run and something occur. I run into a bear, a pig. I've seen both of those on the trails out here. I run into a fucking weird person. That's happened a lot, right? So I want to at least be able to stop the bleed and defend myself. So of course I do have my knife, which it's nothing fancy. A big surprise I think that a lot of people encounter with team guys is you probably have more expensive equipment than us. This is a Columbia River knife and tool, fixed blade. I have the ability to draw it out of this Kydex rather rapidly. Depending on what I'm doing, I'll actually tie it down to my waistline. Again, kind of based on the environment, but I have the ability to pull it out, kind of keep it concealed. And if I'm in a fight, I can punch with this and I can also stick this in your neck. So that would be a bad day, right? Or in a pig or a dog, etc. And so always have my knife on me. In this case, I probably will have it in my fanny pack. In my fanny pack, I also have a tourniquet, a cat tourniquet. That's for massive hemorrhage. Who knows what could happen again when you're out running. You could have an encounter with a boar, you know, attacks you, causes a femoral artery bleed, and now you're going to die in the woods because you didn't have something so simple as that. I also have my ID card, my concealed carry license, and then I run this Kimber micro carry 380. It's about the best micro carry pistol that I have ever shot, which is why this is the one that I carry. This has a 7+1 capacity, so this is an extended magazine for this pistol. It's pretty nice. This is not something that I would love to go into a gunfight with against something like that, but this does the deal. You know, if you see me out running, I'm probably wearing, you know, Ranger panties, no shirt, and some shoes, and this around my waist. So the ability to be able to employ a pistol wearing that low profile of a getup is pretty nice. So that is in my holster. With the weight of this gun, and depending on what shorts I'm running, I can sometimes actually put it right there on my hip, again, depending on where I'm at. So when I'm running, that's my setup. I have a spare mag inside the fanny pack as well. And that's done it for me. The other cool thing is you run with this, you know, that's another 5 pounds roughly. So, you know, you take all this off for a competition or a PT test or something like that, and you feel lighter. It's a good thing. So I don't run without this, actually.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. I never knew that was the name of that knife.
Columbia River knife and
I
tool.
just thought it was cricket.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't either until Ty said it.
Yeah, every day you learn something new.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's the running setup. We'll push that forward here and get that out of the way, and then we can kind of finish with our casual everyday carry.
your everyday carry.
Yeah, so I'll keep ripping here for a minute.
Yeah.
Again, this is the Osprey Daylight, slightly larger than that. And I've recently moved to this because I wanted the ability to truly carry everything that I wanted to carry. So again, we're talking about accessibility. I want my tourniquet easily accessible. I want my magazines easily accessible. The wallet is buried in there. Don't need that thing. I'm not quick drawing that, at the gas station. So then we get to the inside, and this is where I have things that I may need, but not rapidly, right? At least with most of these things. So we'll kind of talk through that. Light is extremely important. Sometimes you're not able to pull your pistol out and use that as a light, so I love having a headlamp. And this is always going to go with my running EDC in the event that I'm running at night, and it's already on my head, okay? So headlamp, massive. You can go expensive, you can go cheap. I think I've tried every headlamp on the market. I've put them all through hell. This is a Walmart headlamp. It does the deal, right? And we have about 10 headlamps throughout the house. Every person has one. We have them hanging up all over the place because not being able to see is not cool.
Yeah, I know of headlamps. I have, I think, a Princeton Tech. Actually, a vignette, as they would say. I remember right before selection, I bought like a $140 headlamp, and it broke the first day it rained. And so I convinced myself and promised myself I'd never spend probably more than $40, $30 on the headlamp. And this thing honestly has survived better than any other headlamp that I've ever ran. And I know you can get these dang near any PX on a military installation. I know that much.
Yeah, man. So now we start getting into the contents of what I have here on the inside. This is a micro trauma kit or an individual first aid kit. Okay, for me, if I get in a car accident, which we also have a little aid bag in the car, I want the ability to stop the bleed on one of my kids or my wife. I don't want to watch them die beside me. So that tourniquet is going to handle massive hemorrhage in the extremities. And then some of the things that I have here are great life-saving intervention to prevent that scenario that I just described for you. So first, let's talk about hemorrhage that is not an extremity and needs attention. So for me, I carry a bunch of gauze, some combat gauze, different types of rolled gauze, and an ace wrap, a 3-inch ace wrap. This right here is going to be able to address a junctional hemorrhage. This is going to be able to address a bleed really everywhere other than an extremity or your gut, right? So this is life-saving material. Doesn't weigh much, fits in there really nicely. This is a go-to for me. Chest seals, bunch of different options here. This is the hyphen. I've always enjoyed the hyphen. I've used this. North American Rescue is actually, they provide a lot of this equipment, and or they make a lot of this equipment. It's really good stuff. The hyphen chest seal is designed not necessarily or not at all to stop a bleed, but to seal the chest cavity, right? So if you have penetrating trauma to the front of your chest or your back, you can throw this on, and this is going to prevent a tension pneumothorax. Not necessarily prevent it, but it's going to prevent it worsening, right? So again, some life-saving intervention. You're going to need higher care after application, but this is something that's going to potentially save your life. 14 gauge needle, where after I apply this chest seal, I can now conduct a needle decompression so that we have now sealed the chest and we're preventing air from entering or exiting, and now I'm actually going to manage the air within the chest with this 14 gauge needle. I would much rather put this needle in my child's chest than watch them suffocate. So for me, this is a fucking no-brainer, dude. And 20 minutes after a car accident, if it takes that long because you're in a rural area, you're going to watch your family member pass, and it's not cool. You don't want to do that. So now we've talked about bleeding, some things on that. Shears are amazing because at the end of the day, using this knife to cut his shirt may actually induce another wound. So I try to stay away from that. Shears are really nice. There's also all sorts of everyday application for this, you know, open a fucking pack of gummy bears or something.
Hell yeah.
So the shears are nice. Then tape, again, good catch. That was a test. And, you know, I don't need to explain to you why tape is important. So now let's shift gears for a second away from the hemorrhage piece, and let's talk about allergic reactions. Because I've actually seen quite a few allergic reactions, and it's one of those things where if someone starts to trend towards anaphylaxis, there's only a few things you can do for them other than getting them to higher care, and I have both of those things. First is Benadryl. I've used this extensively, and I update it often because I may be in the mountains with my kids, or, you know, driving down the road, and something they eat or touch can set off an allergic reaction. So Benadryl is often that intervention that does the deal, and so we keep that. But sometimes you may have to employ an EpiPen. I've fortunately never had to employ one for anyone in my family, but it is something that will save a life. Again, if they're trending towards anaphylaxis. I just want to say right now that if you haven't picked up on it, you can't carry all this stuff if you don't know how to use it. So again, back to the $1,000 equipment and the $0 training, it's critical that you have the training aspect as well. Finishing up here, little boo-boo bag. I've actually used this on my son extensively. At the end of the day, you're able to clean a wound, cover it. I have some butterfly bandages in here so we can pull that together and maybe not need sutures, but again, just a little piece of intervention. Next thing is the Mylar blanket, and we have a little vignette actually about that.
Yeah, so roughly 6 years ago, me, JD, other family members doing a nice little river trip over there on James River, and they started out probably like 95 degrees, middle of summer. We rode probably, 3.5 miles?
Something like that.
Something like that. I don't really remember too much. But we get halfway, and it starts pouring on us. We get in a situation where we're like, should we start a fire? It's already raining. We're like, nope, we just need to turn back. And at that point, the kids that were with us, actually JD's kids, they kind of started showing signs of hypothermia. And I load them in my boat. I think I had 1 or 2 of them in there, and we pulled this bad boy out. And at one point, they were complaining about how hot they were. Obviously, weren't showing hypothermia anymore. But this very well, thankfully, probably saved their life, or at least saved them a trip to the hospital. I know for me, I wish I had one of these. We only had like one for some reason. But hey, lessons learned. That's where the preparation comes in. The mindset that we got from that was a learning experience. So definitely recommend these, either if you're everyday carry, or especially if you know you're going to be outside during any time of the year. Have one of these on you, in a bag, in your truck. It doesn't matter. These are lifesavers.
Yeah, and the last thing I have in here is just some paracord and a lighter. Self-explanatory stuff there, right? So all of this fits into this bag, and I actually still have space. Typically, I can carry this and still fit my pistol in there if I want to. I can fit a t-shirt and some extra socks, or whatever I want to throw in there. But all of that fits in here really comfortably.
Yeah, which is good because we already talked about it. I run the smaller fanny pack. I usually shoulder strap it. The reason I do that is I can blend in easier, and that's why I don't run a tourniquet on the outside either, because that's a cue. If you know somebody has a tourniquet, they're probably prepared. I'm probably not going to mess with them, or it's going to cue me in like, hey, that dude's a first responder, military, I don't know, police, or anything like that. So if I'm somebody who out there wants to make a name for themselves, they might come after me. So I don't like to wear any type of cues except for my tattoos, obviously, that indicate that I know what I'm doing. So for me, that's why I don't run that. I usually just like JD said, a marker, pen. Always found myself in situations where I need either one of those. I'll throw those in the front pocket. Don't really need them. I know I used to run my keys on here, but the reason I have what I have on it, nice little bottle opener. Who knows, drinking beers. Multi-function keychain. This thing's nice, got a Phillips head. It's got a few other hex bits on there. Another bottle opener. I don't know why I have 2 of them. Who knows? Shark Talk CrossFit keychain. This thing's about 85 years old. But yeah, actually, I have the bullet casing from when I got shot. That's cool. And yeah, so I usually throw that in there. Going hitting at that point, the stuff that I'm not going to really need, unless I really need it, then I'll find it. So lighter, essential. You don't know, you got a buddy who smokes cigs, always needs a lighter. Then usually extra flashlight. Say I can't run my pistol, at least I'm able to see at night with a flashlight. Extra batteries, important, tape them up on there. From there, charger. Hey, everybody runs iPhones for the most part. An extra charger, I've always found myself either somebody else needing a charger, myself needing a charger. I fit that in the front pocket too. Then from there, hey, my knife, I either throw it in here, I'll put it on my pocket, one of my pockets, depending on what I'm doing. Hey, easy. So from there, hey, wallet, all my good stuff. You ain't got one of these wallets, that sucks, but cool. Then, hey, that's where I'm getting to the situation of I'm kind of running out of room. I got my goggles. I don't need those. I have a headlamp. Headlamps are super convenient, especially at night. I can just put this on my head, put it on somebody's head. It's out of the way. I don't have to hold it. My pistol, I probably shouldn't be using my pistol light as a light for a non-emergency situation. So it's always important to, 1 is none, 2 is better than 1. So usually what I'll do is I'll throw this in here somewhere because I'm not going to need it unless it's at night. Then I run into the situation, hey, do I put my gun in here? Do I put my spare mag in here? Do I put my tourniquet? Which one's the most important? For me, honestly, I'll put a spare mag in here. Zip this stuff up about halfway so stuff doesn't get fumbled around. And then I'll put a tourniquet in here. Then from there, I'll slam my pistol in here. Because I know if I'm running my pistol, probably more than likely, I'm going to need to pull that thing out more than I'm going to need that tourniquet.
All right, so we've shown you what we carry. Again, now we're kind of getting into the female perspective. So a lot of options here. This is just an example of 1 or 2, right? So we have the purse, and then we have kind of the throw bag, over the shoulder sling bag, actually, if you would. Same general idea here, right? So you can, as a woman, you can carry in a variety of places. That's highly subjective based on how you dress, where you live, etc. But in this case, let's just say the pistol is on you somewhere, and then you have your bag. Well, again, it's the same principle, right? And understand this, as a woman, you are undoubtedly a target. There's no question about it. Simply that you are a woman makes you a target. If you don't believe that, then you are delusional. And so we talk about men needing to carry and have this skill and this equipment, but I would actually argue that it's more important, or at least equally important, for women, okay? So just because you're a woman and maybe you have a guardian does not mean that you can't be self-reliant, right? With that said, I certainly depend on my wife or Willie, if he's with me, to support me, right? And so that doesn't mean that I'm not going to carry a gun because he's carrying one. And it's just not how that works. So here, my wife runs her sling bag, and the same thing, man. We need accessible items, accessible. So right off the cuff, extra magazine for her Glock, right? Right there. Sometimes there's 2 in there. It depends on how gangster she's feeling that day. Then in this little zipper pouch, we have her tourniquet. Same application, right? Just a different setup. Look, you can put your makeup and your 14 credit cards and like your hair stuff in these pouches, or you could put things that might save your life. It's totally your choice. Again, dialing back to what level of risk are you willing to accept. Then as we dive in here, this is where we're seeing a lot of the same equipment, right? The headlamp, the stop the bleed equipment, right? The boo-boo patching equipment here, right? Because again, with kids, you're gonna potentially need that. It's nice to have. Also have shears, and then the chest seals, the Curlex, the combat gauze, etc. Right? So we have generally the same setup, just a different pack, right? There's like nothing crazy or special about that. But I will say, all of us at times have the tendency to get a little messy, right? Get a little unorganized. Well, organization is going to potentially save your life, right? Because if you're running a purse and you have 1,000 things in here, right? How well are you going to be able to get in there and get the things that you need, right? If I'm drawing my pistol and using it and then digging around in this purse, this is no good, right? Oh, I got the chapstick. No, man. So we go back to that more prepared option of, I know there's one thing in this pocket. It's a magazine, and now I have it in my hand, right? This is just the better route, okay? So you can do the same setup here, just organize it, especially in a purse. Man, you have a lot of, little places to put items in here that allows you to organize it. And like I said, she's feeling gangster. She got that other mag, right? And so you can still have your lotion and your one lifting glove for some reason. I mean, I'm not kidding you. There's one in there, right? Like, for real. Your malfunctioning light. I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm not. I mean, you can have your spoon in here because, you don't miss those macros, right? 1,000 hair ties. You can have all of these things in there, okay? Whatever this is.
Let me get some of that, dude.
Oh, yeah. Come here. Whoop. No, you're supposed to keep it open. Anyway, look, you can have all of these things in there, but let's use the compartments, right? Let's place that in here, and let's just get some organization to this. So, again, the big takeaway here is, as a woman, you have the same level of responsibility, honestly. And I want you to adopt this option versus this option. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been thinking about rocking one of these, but after that segment,
yeah,
I'm not going to get one now.
Yeah.
So
you need some hand sanitizer?
Kind of.
Of course, dude.
EDC. Clean your hands when you need to when you carry hand sanitizer. You know what I mean?
All right, so let's dive into very quickly the children, right? For EDC for children. So with that, pretty simple. This is actually the fanny pack that my 16-year-old daughter carries. Here you go. So this is pretty simple, right? Because a 16-year-old, unless she's on the farm or somewhere like that, she's not going to be carrying a pistol or a rifle. So they're quite limited. But again, there are still a few tools that they can carry. And honestly, who expects my 16-year-old daughter to have anything in here that is EDC, right? She rolls around with this thing right on her lower back all the time, and she's packing a little punch. So the first thing that we'll highlight is the tourniquet. And again, coming back to like the $1,000 equipment versus the $0 skills or training, my kids know how to apply a tourniquet, right? And so that's a foundational aspect of this, is having the skill to match the equipment. She has a little pig sticker in here, right? I mean, apparently she's going to jab that in you. You don't want that. So, and I've also seen her carry this on her waist as well, rather than in her fanny pack. I guess it's kind of like, depends on what she's doing. If she's hanging out with dad, she probably has it in the fanny pack. She's getting lazy, I've seen a lot of other things in here as well, but the last thing that, we actually threw in today to kind of demonstrate is some pepper spray. And so this is a simple, very easily applied solution that is not going to result in someone dying, but may give you some space if you're involved in a violent encounter. So we look at this and we say, oh, well, that's not much of an EDC, but I will say that's potentially something that can save your life, or at least extend the timeline or open that gap for someone else to get in there and intervene, like your dad or a law enforcement officer. So pretty simple solutions. My other kids carry things very similar to this as well. Knives of varying sizes. They all have tourniquets. And again, man, like this is a very easy solution.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with EDC, especially if you're a kid, if you're a wife, if you're whatever, it's like the stigma behind fanny packs. I remember when these were like cool in the 80s, 90s. Now they're definitely a comeback. When I was a teenager, I never thought about wearing a fanny pack. I was like, ooh, gross, tacky. But now I'm a grown adult and actually grown up a tad bit. Fanny packs are sick. As you can tell, we can put so much stuff in these. And honestly, they're pretty fashionable nowadays. So,
for sure.
But that being said, that's also a thing that you have to think about for mindset is like, oh, I'm too worried about what somebody's going to think about me, or, does this look good with this outfit? It doesn't matter when it comes to saving your life. Like, I'm going to wear a fanny pack that maybe not go with my outfit. I might be wearing cowboy boots, blue jeans, or whatever. I'll still be rocking that Osprey sling bag because guess what? I have a pistol on me, and that's more country than those cowboy boots. So keep in mind, preparedness mindset, getting to that right mind, I guess, that state of mind. You gotta throw that stuff out the window when it comes to saving your life. Be prepared, be ready to go, understand your equipment. This fanny pack, it's only going to be big enough for maybe a super small micro carry pistol, or if 16-year-old girl is rocking it, hey, knife, pepper spray, tourniquet. You have to understand your equipment, so when you're preparing for the next day, 2 days, or whatever, you know what you can fit inside your carrying device. Fanny packs. Super important for everyday carry, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's a great tool. So, hey, to recap, if you walk away with something here, it is that EDC is super cool, right? But it starts with a mindset that you decide to be self-reliant, that you're going to take care of yourself, you're going to take care of the people around you, and then you pair that mindset with skill development. You learn how to use the tools that you then purchase. And so you pair all of that together and you turn into a super capable person. And that's what we're pushing here. So if you like this content, then keep watching. We're going to keep putting stuff like this out. This is definitely more of a long form conversation, and we could talk about this for another hour or more for sure. Look out for things on violent encounter in the future. We've talked about all of these tools, but we haven't shown you how to employ them. So definitely look out for that stuff in the future.
Yeah, I would definitely say if you have questions, make sure to hit us up. Hit us up on Instagram, the website. There's multiple different platforms that you can hit us up at. But that's the most important thing that we can give y'all is the knowledge of how to employ these systems, why to use these systems. Like JD was saying, we could honestly sit here for probably 68 more days straight and talk about these and not go to sleep, because we could talk about a knife, what type of knife to wear, fixed blades versus the old folding knives, for at least 2 hours. It's super important stuff, and I know a lot of y'all probably out there like, ooh, what's a tourniquet? That looks weird. No, we get it. It is kind of like, it's not necessarily scary stuff, but it is scary because you're like, what if I carry that? I'm not going to know how to use that. That's where we come in. That's where Countercultures comes in. We will teach you, explain to you how to use these, apply these, and why it is important to carry one of these, because you never want to sit there and be like, hey, I could have saved that person's life, but I was either too scared to save their life or I didn't know how to use my equipment. So super important stuff. Feel free. Hit us up. Contact us. We're not scary. We have tattoos. We get that, but we're like 5 foot tall, and don't let us intimidate you.
That's true. Yeah, so counterculturesolutions.com, at Counterculture Solutions on Instagram and unfortunately Facebook, at
Free Willie 1776, because America's #1, baby.
And then at JDXHGC on Instagram for both of us there. Hey, thank you again for your time, and we love you.
Bye.
I just wanted to hear whatever squeak you did at the end, dude.
Contact! 6 o'clock! Get online! Move up on me! Online on me! 01, this is 05. We have effective fire on our position.
It's about to get fucking weird, bro.